Hi, my name's Kim J and I'm a volunteer for RNIB. I'm also a visually impaired chef. I do Indian cookery classes together with RNIB, which we do all over the Northwest when we're not in isolation. I've also wrote an Indian cookery book called A Taste of Spice, which you can get from Amazon. All profits going to RNIB. Now today I'm going to show you how to make Shimla chicken. It's basically a chicken curry dish using large green pepper. Now the large green pepper in India we call a Shimla Mirch because it predominantly comes from a region of India called Shimla. So we're going to need half a green pepper, which I'm going to finely slice. Now we're going to need 1/2 to 3/4 tin of chopped tomatoes. That's a large tin of chopped tomatoes. We're going to need salt, black pepper, turmeric and chilli powder. We're also going to need 3 cloves of garlic, which I'm going to peel and finely chop. About half a centimetre of ginger, which I'm going to peel and finely chop. I'm going to have 2 green chillies, which I'm going to finely chop. Now, if you don't like spices and you don't like things too hot, you can either leave them out or just have one, or if you like it very hot, have more green chillies. I'm also going to need your 2 white onions and a red onion, which we're going to finely chop. Chicken breast, it's a skinned chicken breast, which I'm going to cut into approximately 2 centimetre slices. If you want, you can use chicken thigh, that's not a problem. It's totally up to you. This is your dish, so make it your own. Now, also, I'm going to use cinnamon sticks, which you can get from any supermarket, cloves, cumin seeds, and large black cardamoms. Now, if you don't have these spices, don't worry, because all these spices ground together are put in garam masala, which you can get from the supermarket. Now, garam masala is very hot and it produces that kick in the back of your throat that you like. So if you don't like that kick in the back of your throat when you eat a curry, just leave it out and depend on the black pepper and the cumin seeds. Now you're also going to need fresh coriander, finely chopped, approximately half a packet or half a bunch full. And those are your ingredients for Shimla chicken curry. I have peeled the onions, and with 1/5 of one of the white onions and 1/5 of the red onions, I have sliced very finely, and I'm going to set those aside. Now with the rest of the onions, I'm going to chop into very, very small pieces. And if you're lucky enough to have a food processor like me, you just blitz it down until it's very fine. And with your onions chopped, we now start to put the dish together. I've put the hob on and I've got a large pan or a wok, and into that I'm going to put about a tablespoon of oil. Vegetable oil is best, peanut oil, but not olive oil. Olive oil does not work in this. Now into that I'm going to put about a teaspoon of cumin seeds. And I'm also going to put 1 of the black cardamom pods, 1 of the cinnamon stick, and a couple of cloves into the oil. And I'm going to wait until they start to heat up. Now you can tell when the spices have been cooked because you can hear them sizzling in the pan, and the smell of the spices is rich, earthy, sweet. Now it does take about a minute or so for this to occur. Now, like I said, don't worry if you don't have the spices, just use the cumin seeds and it makes just a good curry. Now that oil's starting to heat up and I can smell the spices in there. Now don't worry, if you think the spices are going to burn, at this stage they won't. Now I can hear them popping and sizzling. Now at this point I put the chopped onions. Now when you put the chopped onions, put the gas down to the slowest heat, because when the onions hit the hot oil it will sizzle, so slightly do it at arm's length. All those onions go in. Now you need to cook these onions down until they are brown. It does take a length of time, so be patient, and it's a lot longer than anybody else thinks. Now as you're stirring it, when the onions have gone in, just feel how loose those onions are. And as those onions cook, the texture of the onions will change. The onions are now beginning to become a golden brown. Now this is the stage where everybody thinks, oh, the onions are cooked, let's put the other ingredients in it. Wrong, it's nowhere near being cooked. Now quite often when you're cooking onions, it starts to stick in the pan. That's because onions have got a lot of natural sugars in it. If that happens, don't worry, add a little bit of water and the water will just decaramelize the bottom of the pan. Don't put too much in, just enough to stop it from sticking, and you cook it through. Now when you get to this stage, you can feel that the onions are start coming together, almost as if they're trying to form a ball in the pan. Now when it gets to this stage, as it is doing now, you know that the onions are very close to cooking, but you need that ball to be much thicker and much denser. So carry on cooking for a little bit longer. Quite often in curry dishes, you put the garlic, ginger and the chilies in the pan just after you put the spices and the oil in. Now for someone that's visually impaired, and well actually for most people, garlic in particular, when you put it into a pan, makes the onions stick and burn a lot more. So I always put it in when I put the tomatoes in. They will still cook through, but you will stop the bottom of your pan burning if you put it in at the beginning. So now I'm going to cook these onions quite a bit further. For those that have got colour, it is almost a sort of flapjack, cooked oats kind of colour, but we want it deeper than this, so carry on cooking. Now the onions are beginning to form a ball and they're a golden brown. Now at this stage you can put the tomatoes in, but as Indians we would cook them even further. So once they get to this very dense, like a ball, and come together like that, and you'll see that the onions have condensed quite a bit and all the moisture is coming out, it still needs cooking for a further 7 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes, to get it just a much deeper, more intense onion flavour coming through. So another 7 or 8 minutes once it gets to that point where it's turning into a ball. The onions are now ready. I've been cooking it for about 7 minutes and they're almost a walnut brown for those that have got colour. Now quite often a lot of our dishes will go even browner than this, almost to not quite a molasses brown, but getting there. Now at this stage, when it's this lovely walnut brown and you've cooked it for about 7 minutes, when it comes to a ball, you put in your tomatoes. That's 3/4 of a tin of chopped tomatoes. Give it a little bit of a stir. And into that goes the chopped garlic, the chopped chilies, the chopped ginger, and we now start to put the spices in. So we've got salt, about a teaspoon of salt, black pepper, or if you haven't got those spices and you've got garam masala, half a teaspoon of garam masala or black pepper, whichever one you've got. Turmeric. Turmeric is a great preserver of food. It's very therapeutic health-wise because it works as an anti-inflammatory, and it gives curries a lovely, rich, golden colour. And into that goes chilli powder. Now this is optional, and this depends on how hot you like it. So personally, I will put about a teaspoon for me, but then I like it hot, but others don't. And into that, I'm going to put half the coriander that I've chopped up. And you can smell the spices in there, and the colour is like almost a reddish orange colour. Now, once again, as most curry dishes are like, you need your patience, and you need to now start cooking this sauce down for a good sort of 10-12 minutes. Keep stirring, and again, if it starts sticking, add just a little bit of water, not too much, just to decaramelise the pan. It's coming together like a ball. At this stage, check it for spices and for taste. Perfect. What you get in your mouth is a hit of the spices. You get the cinnamon, the cardamom, the cumin, the tomatoes, and the sweetness of the onion. And then straight after that, rolling in, comes the heat. Now, if the first thing you get is the heat, you put too much chili powder or green chilies in. So it should be, you should be able to taste the spices first and then the heat. Now at this stage, we now put in the chicken breast, which I have put into approximately 2 centimetre pieces. The onions that you put, sliced onions that you put to one side, and the peppers. And you now put in a little bit of water, not too much, and you start to cook it down. This dish is very much a dry dish, so it doesn't have as much of that watery sauce that you would do with, say, a madras or a vindaloo, so almost like a boona. Now you're going to cook the chicken in this dish for about 15-20 minutes, 20 minutes until it is done. If you're doing something like corn fillets or other vegetables, I would just be cooking it for 10 minutes tops until the vegetables or the corn is tender, and you cook. And you can see 3 onions, 1 chicken breast. For those that can't tell, there's enough in there to feed 2 people and still have some left over for the next day. What would I serve with this? Probably not rice, because there's not much of a sauce to it. So I would go for chapatis, which you can now get at the supermarket, naans, pita bread, or even flatbread or wraps, and it is lovely. So keep on cooking this for about 15-20 minutes until that chicken is cooked. And again, if it starts to stick, put a little bit of water into it, not a lot, just a little, and leave it to cook, stirring every so often. This chicken has been cooking for 15 minutes and it is now cooked. And into there I am going to put about 3/4 of the remaining coriander. Now you're going to leave the rest for garnish. Just give it a quick stir. Don't want to cook it in too much. Now if you have any chicken left for the next day, heat it up on the hob rather than microwave. If you reheat chicken in the microwave, it has a tendency to go rubbery. I've put the Shimla chicken into a dish, garnish it with the top, serve it hot. And make all your family and your friends jealous of your skills as an Indian cook. There we go, Shimla chicken.